Yes, unlike Nick Ricada, we're on time in this house. So let's see who's here. Oh, 9 people already. Wow. Well, 9 people watching. Let's see. If you guys are watching, say hi. Yes, very on time and very hetero. That's never in question. Thank you for catching me live. I appreciate it. Hey, Critter. So, hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Wow, everybody's starting to fill in. Wow. Try not to boomer mute tonight. We'll try. I mean, we will try. Hey, why don't you? Wow. Yeah, Bubba, Parallax, Charles Watt, hello. Matthew, thanks for sticking around. I wanted to say this. Somebody, Kiki, when I scheduled this out at this earlier tonight, you know what? If it's late and you can't make it, that's okay. No worries. I appreciate it. Listen from the car. Well, I'm glad. I'm beating out the radio, so that's got to be good news. Yeah, and if you guys want to talk about Twitter, although it's not necessarily, a criminal thing, but I do appreciate the whole aspect of free speech, and I do enjoy talking about it. I'm sure it's probably not a surprise where I stand on the topic of free speech, but we can talk. We can go down that road if you want. My eyes hurt. That's okay. My mom said that too when I was born. Wow, already 20 people. I give everybody a couple more minutes. I usually try to wait like 5 minutes to see if everybody gets in on time or has a chance of getting in. So I will just say, starting off, I know some people were in here popping around watching the Billy Chemirmir trial. Yeah, this week, no, because you have a migraine. Good recovery. I was even then, it's all good. Um, yeah, this week kind of sucked, and I didn't do a good job at it, guys, and I apologize. More importantly, I apologize to my mods, Critter and Matt and Gabby. I know that was probably a pain in the ass to deal with me this week, so I'm sorry, and I plan to do better with the next trials we have coming up. That was just, yeah, just this week sucked on my part, so. Is he in Cleveland? Yes, I am. Over on the east side in the suburbs. No, I'm not in Columbus. Columbus is a horrible place full of horrible people. Um, hey, it's an important thing that's happened, and I do think it's worthwhile. I mean, there was the I thought it was a joke today, the whole idea of a disinformation governance board within the Department of Homeland Security, but apparently that's a real thing that's going to happen, and that kind of scares me quite a bit. So we could talk about that if you want. But I thought that was a joke till I found out later tonight. Cleveland's any better? I mean, it's not Columbus, so it's got that going for it. Oh, well, all right. It's five. Yeah, it's five after. So, yeah, I guess we'll start off with Billy Chemirmir. Yes, finally convicted after 30 minutes. Wasn't really surprised at the outcome there, and I know you guys watched it, but there wasn't a whole lot to this one. They pretty much caught him red-handed. Like, all the evidence was there. He's caught pawning the rings. He's caught stalking people, his victims. I mean, they even had the pillow he smothered that old lady with. And you could see her makeup on that pillow. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff. And I don't know what his attorneys did the first time around to get that one juror to rethink what happened. But, hey, all the power to him. That's good lawyering. If you can baffle him like that. That said, though, the second time through, it seemed like the prosecution really had things nailed down a little bit better. And he's capital murder, so he's going away for life without parole. They are not trying him for the death penalty. I think some of that may be because of his nationality status and avoiding issues with that because he is not a U.S. citizen. So I think they're trying to avoid that. And also, I think I mentioned this before, it's time, resources, and money. And getting him away for the rest of his life, well, that works too. Especially in this situation. Columbus is where Urban Meyer goes to hang out. Yeah, yes it is. um, well, he did. I mean, she was old. I mean, she wasn't young. I'm pretty sure she was an old lady. But yeah, serial killer, it's one of the, it sounds like they're only going to try him on another murder. They're not going to try him for the other 16, and I think that's just a matter of, oh God, it's going to take him forever, and I think if they get him behind bars on like 2 life sentences, that's more than enough. Well, if that juror was susceptible to getting manipulated by the defense attorney, then it was a good job on the defense attorney's part for making it happen. Like the haircut, thank you. I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself. I mean, and which restatements? Because there's multiple restatements. And there's a restatements of torts. I believe there's 2 or 3 restatements of that. There's 2 restatements of torts. There's a 3rd restatement of contracts that's out there, I'm pretty sure. There's, if you want to go for it, but you could probably do more productive things like trying to saw your foot off with a weed whacker. I mean, that would be a horrible read. So, I believe he's from Kenya. I think you're talking about Chemirmir. I think he's from Kenya or something. But yeah, it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't really matter that he's not from America because we have a bunch of shit people in America that kill people. So I don't, it doesn't really matter that he's not from America. I mean, how many jail cells and prison cells in Texas are full of guys from Texas who murdered people? So, yeah. The paintings in the backgrounds. Are you talking about that, or are you talking about like the ones on the wall? So I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. But yes, thank you for the super chat though on that part. There's also, I'm trying to think what other restatements are out there. Torts contracts. I know you probably weren't seriously asking that, but now you got me thinking. Oh well. That's kind of quick for a retrial, wasn't it? That one wasn't too long ago. Actually, I mean, it was back in November, and they tried him again in April. It's not too long. There's usually issues of speedy trial concerns when you have a retrial. Now, you have the right to a speedy trial, and you have to have a trial within so many days of your arraignment or arrest, whatever your state calculates time by. And yes, they have to use it up. They have to try you in that time. Well, if there's a mistrial and you don't have enough time, you can't try them like the next day. Let's say you have like 2 days left. Well, you had your trial within your speedy time window. they try to retry you as quick as they can, um, within reason, and that's mainly scheduling purposes for the court. But no, this isn't that abnormal. It you've already got everything prepared, everything's ready to go. You just basically resubpoena your witnesses and rerun it. Um, so no, this isn't that long. I mean, you could turn around in a month theoretically if you really wanted to retry a case. One like this, yeah, I mean, I could see them doing it. This is normal. I wouldn't say this is anything different. Is she? Hold on, she business. Oh yeah, I've heard of this lady. Yeah. Um. Well, she was deemed competent to stand trial, so she might. Who knows? Um. Yeah, I heard about that one. That would be very interesting. But I'm not sure if she'll let you do it or she'll go to trial. Uh. Yes, I think that's funny. um. Late but present. Yeah, perfect. Oh, ADA issues. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The American Disabilities Act. That is a nasty piece of law. It's one of the few laws that really can run roughshod over almost everything else in the world. It's that powerful. Family Medical Leave Act. Yeah, that one's a fun one too. So, taking up, you wanted to know about that. I found that online. I don't. I think it's from a courthouse in New York somewhere. I'll have to look it up, but I found it. I just thought I needed a neat background, and you know, I thought I'd have them kind of looking like gangsters, so I added my own little things to. And I just thought it looked kind of neat. You know, I like to play around with Photoshop a little bit, and when there's trials, I generally do all those Photoshops. Like that's all Photoshopped. I do it myself. It's I don't know, a little bit of fun to do. Takes me a couple of minutes. Um, when I try to do some of those videos, for a while I was using Snappa, but now I use Photoshop just to make the thumbnails. Yeah, that lady in Wisconsin. Yep, and she put parts in a crock pot. Yeah, yeah, that was a fun one. Um, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice, but the ATF is stinky. Yes, the ATF is horrible. The ATF is a really not nice group of people. It should be disbanded and abolished. Yeah, you know what though? I mean, I did see some of that, and honestly, that guy's just an average guy trying to do his thing, and he gets hauled into a deposition where he's got to sit there for a couple hours, have some lawyers grill him about crap he doesn't know about or care about concerning people that make hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's just the dude working the front desk. I don't blame him for not really caring and saying, "Look, I'm gonna go handle my business. You guys can follow me around while I do it." Um, yeah, I think it's just normal people getting caught up in it, and he did great. Okay, I guess we're gonna do some Amber questions here. If Johnny Depp wins and Amber can't pay up, what happens? Well, he can do a couple different things. He can get the court to award him a judgment, and then he can pursue that judgment and go after Amber's money. And that could be, he files a notice of judgment. So if Amber starts getting paid as like sponsorships, or she becomes like the face of insert whatever makeup company, and they pay her like $10 million, he gets to jump in and say, "Hey, I get a piece of that." Just like how people get garnished by debt collectors on their paychecks, he can execute that judgment and then go after her money. So he can, and I think for Johnny though, it's not about the money. This is about sending a message. Um, um, Well, dude wasn't even working that day. Usually, if you get deposed, you're gonna get picked on a day where you're not working. A lot of times, depositions happen on Saturdays because that's when attorneys are available for 5, 6, 7 hours, and they're free. But yeah, yeah, it's not fun. It's not pleasant, and yeah, the only people who are there happy generally are the attorneys because they're getting paid. Um, yeah, I mean, there might be times where you can get bankruptcy done, but that's that's always a very slippery slope because if you go bankrupt, I mean, that doesn't look good. Um, she could be an OnlyFans model. I mean, maybe. I mean, yeah, she's a fairly good-looking woman overall, but I mean, she's not like anything special. And there's all kinds of nasty little e-thoughts on OnlyFans that make the money. So she would have to up her game a lot. Um, yeah, he had stuff to do. Everybody who's the normal person in this trial is good. No, he could garnish her royalties. He could go after her royalties when she's paid. I mean, I'm not sure how much royalty money she gets from Aquaman in reality or the residuals. Um, Geez, I can't imagine anybody's making any money at this point off Aquaman. But if there's some money to be made there, he could go after it. Um, you can always do the Jack Murphy special. Yeah, take a long time on ChatterBait though to catch up. Take a lot of time. Millionaires aren't they both? Well, Amber's barely a millionaire. Johnny Depp is comfortably a millionaire. He's worth like 200 some $1 million. Amber's only worth like a couple. So if she loses, I mean she's toast. Yeah, the doctor I think was a little bit better looking, but remember she could afford to go up there and look good. Amber just has to look kind of stoic and you know pay not pay attention. Yes, yeah, yes, yes, there was some poop. She could do those. I mean, the Germans love those kind of videos, so I've been told. I mean, if they want to travel back over the weekend, they certainly are allowed to do that. They're not restricted like in a criminal case. But I doubt, I mean, just get an Airbnb or something somewhere nearby and hang out. That's probably the easiest thing. But yes, Johnny's got the ability to pay for a private jet to go back and forth. It all depends on it all depends on the court settlement. It all depends on how things are enforced. And what I will tell you with the law is there's rules, but there's always exceptions to every rule, and there's always exceptions to those exceptions. So, um, generally speaking, a general rule or a general idea is kind of like a race car driver wearing a fireproof suit. It should work, but they don't always. Sometimes you catch on fire and get burned up. So, generally, it does work. I didn't really watch the Muffin Gate part. I was busy, but yeah, her attorneys. I mean, they don't have the best. You piss with the cock you got, and they don't have the best set of facts to work with. And I think some of that they're focusing on some weird things, but I generally try to leave it alone because I don't know ultimately what's kind of setup they're laying down. There might be something put together for their case in chief. Who knows? So I try to be careful about saying like, oh my gosh, they have no idea what they're doing because I don't know what their game plan is. Now, if I knew what their game plan is, I could say, wow, this is bad, but I don't know. It's one thing when you're getting paid to do it and you're focusing on solely just trying to, act on a set. It's hard to control your emotions when everything's on the line. I mean, this is her future. If she loses and it's everybody thinks she lied and that she's a complete horrible person, she's done. So, I mean, it's not like a criminal trial, but it's pretty close for Amber. I mean, she loses, she's back to doing what? I mean, I don't know whatever it was before she became an actress, but yeah, she's mhm. Yes, I have. Um I asked a question, and I don't. There are times when you can do it. So, for example, if I had Johnny Depp on the stand and I was asking him a question, and I said, "Did you see what color shoes Amber was wearing that day?" And he starts talking about, well, Amber told me she wore, like, I would object. If he said, well, Amber told me she wore, I would stop him. That's hearsay. No, no, no. What, like, what color shoes? Like, did you, like, actually look at them? So, generally speaking, though, if you are objecting, you're trying to stop somebody from asking a question you've asked, you're kind of in the wrong. You already screwed up. You probably should have asked it differently or a little bit better. But you can do it. But, so everybody likes to make fun of him, like, oh, you messed up. Like, it's trial. Nobody goes through the trial perfectly. We all screw up at trial. I mean, and I think I'm halfway good at this, at least. I screw up at trial. Everybody screws up at trial. It happens. Once in a while, like, you'll ask a question and, the witness will answer to you like, hey, what are you, an idiot? Like, you walk right into it. It happens. Or you really screw up. I mean, it happens all the time. So I'm not too, like, okay, yeah, it's like kind of funny, but I also think I kind of understand where that guy was coming from, that may have been a hearsay issue outside of the question he was asking, but generally speaking, it's kind of on you. Oh, well, thanks for making it. That sounds like more of like a self-perpetuating cycle of problems if she does that. And defames him and sells that salacious story and gets paid for it and then gets sued and she has to, yeah, I don't know if you want to do that. Overall, a lot of them make sense. I don't, just because a question has a yes or no answer does not automatically mean it is a leading question. I do not like the fact she seems very averse to the concept of somebody on direct asking a yes or no question. You have to do it very well and you have to pay attention to what you're doing. But there are so many judges and so many attorneys who seem to think if you are on direct, you cannot ask a question that has a yes or no answer. And they just automatically think it's leading. That drives me up the wall, but I also understand most attorneys will end up asking leading questions if you let them do it. I would argue, though, Johnny's team seems fairly well practiced and they understand what they're doing. And the questions today, I think there were one or two where they said, oh, objection leading. Clearly wasn't leading, but a lot of people get wrapped up in that. So, yeah, and like I said, Fo, I mean, it's everybody seems to, a lot of judges in courts and attorneys, period, think if it's yes or no, it's leading. It shouldn't be. Uh, yeah, but sometimes you don't. There's times where you might be able to say they didn't lay enough foundation, or I understand why they're asking them. In reality, it doesn't do anything, but I understand that's part of them. You object to object. Sometimes you're just objecting to be contrarian and fight. Um, I can understand they might want to bog down the plaintiffs and make them start from like square one, like the littlest little block, and then build up instead of starting at a normal spot where we would carry on a conversation. But it's not too bad. Lemon Party. I didn't. That's great. Great name. She's 36. Yeah, I mean, yeah, compared to where she was a couple of years ago, she hit the wall hard. I should say too much myself, but how many more movies is she going to be in? I don't know. I mean, there's always Skinamax at the end of the day. Um, what would happen if he was needed yet continued to evade being served a subpoena? Well, if if he's never served, then he doesn't ever show up. Now, he's never been deposed, so they're not going to let him show up at trial. That he would be way too volatile of a person to show up at trial. I mean, I would never let him do that if I was the attorneys. There's just, I mean, look at him on Joe Rogan. He's smoking weed and talking about supersonic electric jets that can take off vertically, which sounds really cool, and I really hope he makes those. Um, but you can't have somebody like that show up and just testify out of the blue. That would be crazy. Um, if he's never subpoena, if they serve a subpoena, but they issue a subpoena, but they never serve it, it's just a piece of paper then. And once the trial's over, it's worthless paper. Um, Even if they do serve him, it's a court in Virginia trying to tell somebody in another state to show up. You have to get a way to enforce that. And, I'm sure Elon would say, screw you, I'm not showing up. If you served him, he'd say, I don't care, I'm not coming. Make me. Now, I don't ever recommend any of you do that. If you get served, speak with an attorney, figure out what your options are. But Elon could just say, screw it, because at the end of the day, he's got $44 billion he could just burn. So he can afford to deal with this judge and whatever may happen. But you guys, you're not that rich. You don't have rich people privilege. I mean, none of us do. Don't do that. I don't recommend it. Hey, that's... Oh, you have no apologies there. We're all asking questions. That's what this is all about. I like talking about this. So, yeah, don't ever... Never have to apologize for that. I'm partially retarded, so I'm not like much higher up the food chain really in terms of things. Um, it feels icky going after people's careers. Justice isn't destroying people. I mean, she destroyed him. I mean, what is justice for Johnny really? If you're Johnny Depp, what's justice for you? Your career's done. Burning that person down who came after you, I mean, that's retribution is sometimes justice. Revenge sometimes is valid justice. Even though, yes, revenge destroys both people. Well, if you're already destroyed, I mean, if it's already broke, how much more broke can you make it? So, I understand why he's doing what he's doing. There's not really much other option. Yeah, he's out. I heard he's not coming in. Although it'd be interesting if his Franco gets served. It's kind of like Pineapple Express. I just... I don't know what she's going to do. What I would tell you is you can be careful about how smart you think someone is. I've made that mistake before in trial, but I think that's also just something in life. It's far better to overestimate somebody's intelligence and you plan accordingly than to underestimate them. I mean, she's not a complete idiot. I mean, from what we've seen, I will say this because I know the jury's, we're still out on the trial. But if you believe Johnny Depp that she's evil and conniving and manipulative and plotting and has set this whole thing up, she's pretty damn smart. Or at least smart enough. You have to be careful against somebody like that. She's an actress, so she's not completely stupid. But just like anything in life, you cannot underestimate your opponent, especially like for this because it's on the line. I mean, if you go in there and just eat shit during the time you get to go after her, well, that could kill your case. So you need to be prepared. I wouldn't say she's Johnny's equal, but she's going to do better probably than the average person who comes, like any random person coming off the street to testify in a case. I just think you run into a risk of underestimating people. It's just too much on the line here. Yeah, I think public opinion might be turning, but remember, it's the Battle of Waterloo wasn't over until the Prussians showed up at the very end. I mean, the Grand Armée made its last charge, and Wellington almost broke. So, it's far from over. It's far from over. Good evening from the Netherlands. Thank you. It's probably like 4 o'clock there in the morning. Thanks for stopping in. All he does is buy things he can put his name on the right to claim the fame. Okay, yeah. Grimes, I don't like. But hey, and Elon, I mean, yeah, but you know what? That's the skill he's got, is he can do all that. So acknowledge he's got the gift of being able to hop on things and make them work. Um, it's one thing to start up the big idea, but it's another thing to get that big idea to become the dominant idea. I have a brain injury, so I have brain damage privilege. I don't remember anything. Ah, maybe at some point in the future. Um, ah, maybe at some point in the future. I got a lot of time left, but it's something I've thought about. Um, I want witness. I want the witness after Amber Heard to walk to the stand and say who dropped. Well, the witness that comes after Amber Heard's probably one of her friends, so they're not going to do that. Um, Amber's lawyers seem like giant assholes. You know what though? As much as people, and I've heard, I think I mentioned this when I was on there for a couple minutes with Alita on Legal Bites. You may not like Rothenborn. I know people are calling him Rottenborn or whatever that dude's name is, or Elaine Bradoff. But they're doing their job. You don't have to like them. I'm sure you guys say this, but you guys might see me at a trial. If you guys were to sit in on some of the trials I've had, and I go like dealing with the witnesses or dealing with police officers, or for example, if I'm doing like a divorce case and there's child custody issues or a protection order, you might look at me and think, "Wow, Sean's a complete fucking asshole to these people." It's all in the game. It's business. That's my job, is to go after something. I'm representing my client's interest. And that means I go after it. Like I mentioned before, you got to go hard in the paint. This isn't croquet, man. This ain't croquet. This is paintball. Like, you go after people. There's no patty cake. You go, that if you want lawyers who, shake hands and like, "Oh, good afternoon to you, sir," go do tax law. In a trial, it's not nice. It's not fun. That's just the simplicity of it. It's dirty. It's gritty. Um, and the bigger the stakes, the bigger the actions. So, I mean, they're doing their job, and I think they're doing okay for what they have. And when they have to pour it on, they're pouring it on. Now, do I think they're making missteps? Yeah. Do I think they're limited by what happens? Sure. But they're making the most of what they got. Yeah, turnabout is fair play. Yeah, and I think for Johnny, it's worth more than the money. It's about, as the Joker says, it's about sending the message. You know, don't do this. This is wrong. And yeah, if he lights Amber's career on fire, so be it. Yeah, I've mm, no, I don't know if they she hasn't really infected them. I can see an issue of, and I'm guilty of this myself. You get involved with your client, and to the point of you end up, going to trial, and but I don't mind when I do this because I don't care what charge it is, but like you get caught and you stab somebody to death and you're just covered in blood holding a knife. I'll you get invested in that. You get involved in that case and it becomes something, and after a while you're into it and you're like, "Yeah, I really do believe it. I do. You know what? We can win this. We can crush it." You know, at the end of the day, you have to be that way though. If I come out there and I just seem cold and clinical, well, I'm not really buying it. And if I'm not really buying it, how am I going to get you to buy it? How am I going to sell it if, well, this guy, you've got to be involved. There is some fire. There is some intensity. There is some emotion involved. Um, I mean, you have to have that ability in you a little bit. If you don't, and you're just like, yeah, okay, Mr. Depp, did you hit Amber Heard? No. Okay, are you really sure? Yeah. Well, it really looks like you did, and it looks like you do drugs, and it looks like you break stuff, and it looks like you're a complete lunatic. That doesn't get you anywhere. You've got to go after people. Like I said, when you're going hard in the paint, I mean, like, you're going hard, you know, and you can't just, you can't go practice speech. You're going 100%. So I don't think she's been emotional in that sense. Is it alienating the jury? No, I would argue, what's going to alienate the jury is just if you go through all of it and they can't figure out what your point is. Or you're not making a good point. That'll piss off a jury more than anything. Oh, okay. She's not very smart. Amber, I mean, compared to Johnny, yes, but that doesn't mean she's not smart. Like I said, um, you know, just always, you should always assume people you're dealing with are fairly intelligent. It's respectful, but also it just keeps you in check. And I think I try to do that myself the best I can. Yeah, he's got his own issues with, Me Too. So I think you would have to be careful. Um, yeah, no, I think that's fair. um, Based on what the doctor said, it could be easy to get her. Sure, it could. That doesn't mean she's not smart. Even smart people can have short fuses. Even smart people can get manipulated and riled up at the drop of a hat, and be impulsive and lack control. That doesn't mean she's stupid, but she might be smart enough to know, okay, I got to rein this in. Um, and during this trial right now, especially since she's not testifying, I bet they got her on some sort of like mood equalizer. If she really is that, you know, like rock and roll, she'll lose it because it just will help keep her in check. Because you don't want to see her sitting over there the whole time, like going, or anything like that. Um, or she's just really good at handling herself. I don't know. Could be anything. Like, I can't believe he was a professor at University of Houston. Ah, Elon or James Franco? I'm not sure who we're talking about. Um, yes, because it showed there were previous revisions of this article, and in the previous revision, she wanted like the restraining order. She was going to make it all about Johnny, but then everybody said we should probably parse it back because we don't want to get sued. Didn't help, but I think they limited their liability a lot. I think that really hurt Amber a lot. Yeah, and for Johnny, it's about his integrity. I didn't do this, and I think it's fine for him to do that. Um, because yeah, it's like I said, there's different justice for people is different. There's all kinds of justice, different ways to put it. Yeah, he should just stay away. It'd be the safest thing for him. Um, yeah, there's little growth if everything turns into a zero sum game, but I'd argue there's incentive for society to know the truth here, and that's why we're having a jury, and that's why we're having the trial, and it's being televised. We want the transparency. We want to see what happens. So I think for Johnny, it's probably bigger than him at this point. It's not just about him; it's about this whole situation. I think there's a lot of room for growth then, because if it turns out Amber lied, well, there's a lot of growth for a lot of people and a lot of society to say, "Oh, wow, maybe it's a time for recollection, a time for pause." Um, Sometimes it's bigger than you, and I think that's where the growth and the incentive lies. Oh, okay, you guys are talking. I'll let you guys sort your things out. Um, well, Lemon Party, I think there's an issue about what makes you whole. Are you whole because you got $50 million in your pocket, or are you whole because you got your vindication in the court of public opinion? Okay, yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know, because certainly they've had access to that report. They've had access to it. They know it. Maybe she went and saw some of her own psychiatrists and people. Um, Generally speaking, though, when people have mental illnesses like that, they're usually not always self aware in the way that it helps them, and they use it to, keep themselves in check. But we'll see. Elon's just the Gen X Mark Cuban. Well, hopefully he's better than Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's kind of an asshole. Um, it doesn't make him whole, but it does show the world that he was right. And the only way he could show the world was he was right is by destroying her career. By showing that she was manipulative and evil and she did all of this. So I don't think by taking care of himself and vindicating himself, he's got to tear her down. But Amber set that bailiwick up. She stacked all that flammable material around herself. Hatch to clear out the deadwood. Amber built a castle out of it. So is it really Johnny's fault? No, it's Amber's problem. That's why you don't do. That's why you don't defame people. Um, Orax, greetings from Greece. Wow, thanks. Wow, I mean, geez, it's got to be like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning for you over there. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, to 5K. Heck, I'm still surprised I got past 1,000. I mean, I look at that count every day, and all I can think is like half you people have lost your mind. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you. I'll make sure I show that one to my girlfriend. Um, and I understand that there's this idea, and I think I don't know if you've heard me talk about it before, but justice is not always a clear concept, and you've got to figure out how to get to it. But that's a lot of I think where the incentive for society is we talk about that in the aftermath of this, like that. I think that can lead to a discussion about how to address that in the future. Um, I enjoy those kind of conversations though too. I'm not like Joe, good logic, but kind of close. Um, Taylor, you can be nice and be an attorney. It's just there's certain things you aren't going to be able to do, and take like a rape case to trial or a domestic violence case to trial or a guy slashing up somebody with a knife to trial. Uh, you, you've got to be aggressive. Sometimes in a divorce proceeding, you've got to be aggressive. In a custody proceeding, you've got to be aggressive. You might have a will. You're disputing who should be the administrator of that will, who's going to be in charge, and you're representing a brother against a brother, and you're being paid to pick up a gun and go hop over the top of the trench and start dropping bodies. Um, but there are times and places where you can be a nice attorney. In transactional work, you can be a nice attorney. So, yeah, they're doing what they're paid for. They're hired guns, guys. Um, yeah, it's sucky facts. I mean, you can only do so much. Um, yeah, yes, this is a I've had to pound the table more than once in my time. Now that happens a lot when you're doing defense work. But yeah, I've been able just to sit there and say, "Oh no, judge, the law's on our side." That's the best feeling in the world because you don't have to make much of an argument. Judge, look, all these books behind you tell you to do X, Y, and Z. Easy peasy. Then you say, "Wait, judge, sometimes the facts don't apply to those laws. We need to do something different." And then yeah, at the end you're like, "Look, judge, please, look, just come on, give me a break. Come on, bro, help me out." Yeah, that's not the fun time. That's the worst one to be. Um, we want the cat. Well, the door's closed. The cat's not coming in right now. Um, Also, George, since you're here, ooh, I'm a couple minutes behind right now. Sorry, guys, I'm catching up here. I'll try real quick. You mentioned during the Chemirmir trial, you had a question about, do you want to be able to, as a defense attorney, if I'm doing defense, do I want to present my own evidence and witnesses and exhibits? It depends. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. There are times where my exhibits, the things I'll present, are part of the discovery I'm given by the prosecutor. Because remember, they give me anything and everything pretty much. So if there's like a police statement from a witness, but when the witness testifies, I'll be reading through their statement and say, huh, that doesn't match up. And I'll say, wait, you said something different. You said something here. Or I'll point out to like a lab tech or an officer, wait, this is a little different than what's being talked about. This is different. That's different. So I don't always need to have my own exhibits. And a lot of times I use what's been given to me. And that's a lot of times just because of circumstance and how the facts are. That said, though, if I can, work with a client and there are witnesses and there are things we could bring up on our own, sure. But it doesn't really matter to me. I just want the ammunition. I just want to have a lot of ammunition in my pocket, and the better quality it is, the happier I am. So if I just start pulling, if I start, when the prosecutor's shooting arrows at me, I just pull them out of the ground and shoot them back. That's fine. That's all I've got. Or if I got my own quiver I can use full of arrows, yeah, whatever works. And I saw you on, so I just wanted to make sure I answered your questions. I told you I would get to that. Um, I don't really like the blah 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 blah. Did I read? Yeah, that's not how you do cross examination. You always want the party who says the words to say the words. It gives it that much more effect. So when Johnny's reading his own text messages aloud, that's very powerful because now that's coming from him, and it's easy to put that in your head. Um, but yeah, for whatever reason, I think they're just worried. Johnny was very combative. Some of these other witnesses are pretty combative, and a lot of the people involved are pretty quick on their feet. Like Johnny's bodyguards, they're pretty intelligent guys. His staff is pretty intelligent. So I think some of that's just avoiding sparring with people who can cause you problems. Um, I really wonder if Johnny offered that and Amber said no. Because I could see that. Just look, come clean and admit you didn't do it. Admit this was all wrong and I lied. Um, you'd be surprised how many times in civil cases there has been a fairly reasonable offer. The McDonald's coffee case where the lady got scalded with like 200-degree coffee, which I know a lot of people, I'm not sure if you guys know that. Yes, the coffee was almost boiling. It was hot enough to scald people and cause third-degree burns. They just wanted her to. They just wanted them to pay for her medical bills, and it was like 20 grand. And McDonald's laughed and said, "Go kick rocks," and then McDonald's got thumped in court. Maybe Johnny was smart enough to realize Amber's never going to apologize, but yeah, sure, that could be an easy way to handle it. You know the knowns. Uh, I don't know how you know what you don't know. Um, but do you know if you don't know it? I mean, do you really know if you don't know something? Um, I don't think there's really like internalized misogyny. It's just she's not very, at times she just doesn't come off as very affable. And part of that when you're doing a case, and I've mentioned this before, and people have heard me say it, it's about sales. Yes, I have to come off. I may be rude, or if people think, oh my gosh, this attorney's just a complete dick and he's treating these people like crap, that can reflect on your client. So you have to, be able to meter that out and at times show that you're like, look, that was him just doing his thing. Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if she's got what it takes. You got to be careful. Franco was a film professor. Okay, okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna keep scrolling ahead. Are you gonna cover Chili DeCastro? Yes, I'm actually working on something for that right now. Yes, I will, especially because he's in Ohio, and I have a idea that he's very likely going to be incarcerated in the state of Ohio at some point coming up, whether it's locally in a jail or part of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitations and Corrections. But yes, I've got a big thing I'm working on for that, and there's actually a couple of channels that have been covering him that I might be working with coming up at some point. But yeah, keep that, kind of put a pin in that one. For those of you who don't know, Chili is a constitutional law scholar, but reality, he's just a really crappy sovereign citizen who apparently looks like he does steroids a lot and is very unstable. But he's been running around southern Ohio causing problems, and we'll get to those. I think it's very humorous to listen to him talk. Guys, I'm going to try to catch up here, so I'm going to kind of roll through some of these a little bit. What's your regular squad server? Uh, I play a lot of the. It's a 56. It's a Canadian one, and they play the Canadian guys a lot. I like just the rotation of everything they have. Um, I'll That's it though. I'll have to figure it out. It really depends though. Sometimes I do the Middle East escalation servers. Sometimes those are fun. Um, but yeah, I don't really like the new Australian guys. That their stuff isn't really. I don't really like it. So I do. I kind of just bounce around really. I don't have a specific one, but I like the Canadian Forces ones. I just like using their stuff. Yeah, person's mind can be changed on anything. Well, I mean, I think it just shows massively rich people the same problems we all have. We've all known people or been the people in those crappy relationships. So it's not really much different. Yeah, his bodyguard did a really good job. I thought it was, I only didn't get to hear all of it, but he did a pretty good job. Um, both sets of lawyers. Well, for civil attorneys, they're not always in trial. That's actually kind of rare. Um, that said, though, they probably have a lot more experience than most civil attorneys, but compared to a lot of criminal attorneys, they're not in trial all the time. That said, you throw a criminal attorney into like a super high end deposition or doing civil work, they're going to be a fish out of water the same way these guys are. Um, but yeah, this is not Johnny Cochran and F. Lee Bailey throwing down with Marsha Clark. Um, well, thanks for making it in, Josh. It's all good. Um, Yeah, today they were hammering it hard, and I've mentioned this before. The rules of evidence, whether it's your federal rules of evidence or your state rules of evidence, whichever applies, if you have a very good grasp of those as an attorney, you understand them, you also understand applicable case law, you can cause all kinds of things to happen. You can really you can turn molehills into mountains. You can shape. It's kind of like it's kind of like shaping the battlefield because you're deciding how things get applied and what you can apply. Yeah, the evidence rules are critical. Well, if we actually gave you an honest answer, we wouldn't be able to charge you. So you got to think about that. Sure, and that's in damage done to true abuse and DV victims. Sure, but that's the case for Jesse Smollett harming people who suffer hate crimes. Yeah, that's the problem when you cry wolf, regardless of the situation. So, no worries. I appreciate you stopping by. Um, so I'm gonna try to skip around here a little bit. Yeah, but I'm asking you yes or no. I am testifying and you are basically confirming it through yes or no answers. I don't want you to tell me what's going on. I'm telling you and you're agreeing with me. So, um, wasn't sure if you were going down Voltaire or Rousseau there. Not a little rusty on stuff. Um, oh, Kim Blandino. I haven't been following him for a while. I know his sentencing and all that hasn't happened yet, but hmm. Yeah, that was a very interesting thing. Kim Blandino, if you didn't know, he is a well, just kind of a lunatic in Nevada who yeah, tried to be like a sovereign citizen. I want to settle my criminal cases like their debts, and yeah, talked himself into a witness intimidation charge. So, good job, Kim. So, oh, Critter, you're gonna learn about Chili. He's a piece of work. Once I start talking about him, we're probably gonna get raided and suffer all kinds of problems. So, stay on your toes. Aw, well, thank you. Yeah, yeah, big, yeah. The boys were right. Mo money, mo problems. Doesn't get any better. You know, the more money you come across, the more problems you do see. Um, yeah, but to be fair, Johnny really didn't use the or the Chewbacca tactic. I know South Park kind of messed with it a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. You actually can watch his closing arguments on YouTube. They're very interesting. At some point, I might actually cover it, break it down. Um, do you think OJ's son is a true killer? I don't know if you've heard me say that before, but I think it's possible. Um, because OJ had a massive cut on his hand, and unless he held the knife like an idiot, I mean, I think his son could have been involved. I think it answers a lot of questions. But could OJ have easily done it too? Sure. I mean, his son's a big enough guy. I mean, you can't just turn Nicole into a Pez dispenser and then stab up Ron Goldman like that without, if you're a little guy. Um, I mean, in reality, he probably did do it, but I mean, his son could have done it. But I think that's a credible theory. Oh, Richard. Oh, Dickie, Discord. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I like doing it. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, he tried to extort a judge over a traffic ticket. Yeah. GD, 20 pounds? Holy cow. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Really, I mean it. So much. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't, it's not as strong a case for his son, but I would not be surprised at all. Just like if it came out that Jean Benet Ramsey's brother killed her. I definitely would be like, yeah, yeah, definitely saw that coming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, 20 euros. Yeah, it's 20 pounds. Sorry, it's been a long day. Still, thank you. OJ running cover for his kids. I mean, yeah, I mean, something to think about. I mean, would you be, if you're a parent, would you be willing to eat a murder charge for your kids? Um, Benny Ramsey's brother killed Nicole. Yeah, yeah, sure, yes, yes, and then he shot Kennedy. Um, so what else are we gonna talk about here? Um, yeah, euros and pounds are still better than dollars for right now. Yeah, yep, yeah, the euro's still stronger than the dollar, so yeah, that's fine with me. You can pay me in Krugerrands or conflict diamonds too. That's fine. Oh yeah, like I said, Chile de Castro's people are a bunch of other sovereign citizen nutbags and lunatics. So they might the crossover murders. Well, just think about like if you watch the beginning of The Watchmen, where where Kennedy's involved, you can see that happen. Um, So, I think we're finally caught up. Wow. Got a little bit done so far. What else do we have to talk about? Oh, Alec Baldwin. Yes. Um, so, um, at this point, I'm pretty sure Alec Baldwin's not going to be prosecuted. Um, I don't know if you guys have. Like Andrea Yates, like the lady who drowned all her kids? That's pretty interesting. Um, so yeah, I know I had it on here. The second thing I want to talk about was Alec Baldwin. Yeah, the sheriff's office released a ton of evidence in their case. Um, by that I mean they released Alec Baldwin's interview with the police. They released Hannah Reed's interview with the police. They released the body cam of the sheriff's deputy that showed up as soon as there was the shooting. And also they released what looks like some B-roll film involving Alec Baldwin right before the shooting itself. Now, why is that important? Well, um, if they thought they were going to go ahead and go all the way with this, they keep that stuff close to the vest. I mean, you don't release all of that stuff ahead of times. Um, you don't. So yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to get prosecuted. Nothing's probably going to happen to him. I have a feeling nothing's going to happen to anybody. This is just going to kind of get swept under the rug. Though at the end of the day, I mean, there was some criminal level of negligence. It's just hard to, you had to pin it on the right person. And I understand. Well, actually, we're going to see one of those videos in a second. Baldwin and Trump are similar. Yeah, they are. Now, if Saturday Night Live and any of them had any bit of a hair on their ass, they would have had Trump come in and play Alec Baldwin after that shooting had happened. But they don't. And I think that would have been the best table turning in history. But yeah, and actually we're going to see Alec Baldwin. Here, I got to actually grab it. No, where is it? Crap, now I got to find it. Hold on here. Oh, sure. I mean the impressions, but I think that'd have been very funny given their way they are just to go after each other. The way he could shoot someone. Yes, unlike Trump, Alec Baldwin did shoot somebody and get away with it. No, I actually have his, well, I have it somewhere here, and if I'm not stupid, I'll be able to show it to you guys. Where is this Alec Baldwin thing at here? Come on. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. No, no, not you, email. Where is it? Oh. Oh, yeah, okay, here I got it. All right, let's see if I can get this to work. If this doesn't work, we're going to have to figure something out. Um, oh, you watched this last night on Nick's channel? Yeah, I figured he may have beat me to it. I just didn't have the time yesterday. Video file. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Will this work? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I are good at this now. I'm getting good. I'm like a real streamer now. I'm getting super chats and I can do this. So this is Alec Baldwin and this is his movie Rust. I mean, yes, if you're watching this and thinking, wow, this looks crappy or it's out of Red Dead Redemption 2, you're both right. But here he is. And watch him. Yeah. Notice what he did there. That's not him actually killing Helena Hutchins. That's just the camera panning away. Oh, Nick and Brandon watched the interview. Okay, well, we'll cover that a little bit in a second. If you notice that, what's he doing? He's got his, well, let's see. Oh, wow, I can do this a little better than I thought. You see him play with the hammer and the trigger. You also notice when he pulls the gun out, he doesn't have it. Hold on. These are good at scaring the cats away when you shoot the little darts at them. But he doesn't have the gun firmly in his hand when he pulls it out. You notice how he has to flinch with it. It's because he doesn't have good grip on it. Um, yeah, his finger's on the trigger, and you see him, if you go back a little bit farther, he's cocking the hammer as he comes out, but you can see he doesn't grip it well. He's very unpracticed. But that's also, and now I will say in his defense, you cannot claim automatically just because his finger's on the trigger now that it was on the trigger the next time. But does it lead you to a logical conclusion that probably is what happened? Yes. He's not very safe with it, and look, he's got to grip it. He's having trouble grabbing it. He's cocking the hammer. And yeah. So, yeah, now, I think that I think this sustains some charges because it's clear he did it. So, yeah. I don't know if they covered this last night, but I think it was just interesting. No, I want to be back on. Screw him. It's not his screen time. It's mine, Alec. Um, yeah, he's that unpracticed, not talking about his trigger discipline. Um, well, that too. His trigger discipline's awful. Um, yeah. Wouldn't go towards safety training either. Yeah, but he's the star and the executive producer, so I mean, if you're in charge of safety, do you really think you're going to be able to tell him what to do? I mean, he's, probably tell you off at some really horribly swear-based tirade. Um, oh, they've got outrageous. They've got this. They have it. They released it. That's how I got it. Was through the dump of information they gave. Um, I don't know if the shooting's been released because they didn't release everything. They released a bunch of stuff. At some point, somebody's going to be able to FOIA that and get it. But right now, they can still say we're still technically investigating. So, yeah. Um, oh, hi, Millie Pinsky. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Um, anyone else gets jailed for certain? Yeah, probably. But I will say, even in cases of like hunting season every year where you have some moron who shoots through the bushes. Oh, I thought I saw a deer. I was trying to scare the deer up. Kills their kid, kills their buddy, kills some, mope walking the dog a mile away. Doesn't always happen. So, not always, but most of the time, yes. And they should. Well, thanks for coming, GD. Good night. Appreciate it. Yeah, I understand how things are with that. Yeah, you don't necessarily want to see it, but for me, that's kind of the job. You see nasty crap all the time. Um, Connie Berger, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping by. Um, shoots Cheney in the face. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, I thought there was a bird there. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened, Cheney. Now, I know it's kind of already been covered. I'm going to do this a little more in depth at another point. I wanted to show, or at least talk about, with Alec Baldwin real quick. And, there's a little bit of a blur there because, go screw yourself to a certain group of people who had a watermark there that don't get along with me. So, yes, here's Alec Baldwin, and I'm going to just kind of fast forward it because there he is sitting there. Now, we're going to have just a quick discussion here, guys, and I wish I could, illustrate on this. This is Alec Baldwin, and we could see him. These two women here, they're not craft services, they're not his publicist. They're police officers. And this room he's in is at the police station. And you probably notice all that acoustic foam. What's that there for? For acoustics. Why? Because it's an interrogation room. It's an interview room. Notice that there's an empty chair with Alec. Now, who would sit in a chair there with Alec while the police are talking to him? He does not have an attorney with him. Do not do this. Okay? Alec Baldwin, yeah, I hope he, avails himself to an attorney and everything like that, but he's an idiot. Do not ever put yourself in this situation, guys. That empty chair there should be a warning sign for you that, oh my God, there's nobody on my side and it's 2-on-1. You don't ever want to be in this situation. Don't. Yeah, he made phone calls waiting for the police to come in. Yes, he did. But you talk to me on the phone, I'm going to tell you, shut the fuck up. Don't talk to him. You talking to your attorney on the phone before you go do this doesn't help you too much, because what's going to happen? You're going to forget all of it. And what did he do? He talked about, I knew all the risk and I just didn't check the... He didn't help himself compared to when he had that really measured and practiced ABC News interview. This is horrible for him. I think ultimately, though, he's not going to get prosecuted, but it was just awful. Yeah, I'm going to be covering this. Like I said, though, I'm going to cover it on my own in my own little bit of a different way. Yes, now this is transformative content. Yeah, I did. I put my own artistic creation on it. So get at me, bro. Yes, long crime. Yes, laws and cocks. Notice he put women with him. I don't know if that was as much a tactical, strategic decision as it was just how it worked out. I think men or women, Alec Baldwin could easily be pissed off and set off with more. Yes, that's all you gotta say, lawyer. I want a lawyer. I want my attorney. I ain't saying nothing. That works too. I ain't talking to you piggies. I don't say that because then they might tune you up. But just, I got nothing to say. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that. Yes, they Mirandized him. And then they said it was formality, and he kept talking. Yes. If they're telling you your rights and they're reading them to you, you stop. Okay? If they're reading their rights to you, it's because they consider this a custodial interrogation. Or they think that there might be issues down the road when you get charged. Do not talk to them. They're giving you hints for free. Oh, definitely Baldwin is not as smart as he thinks he is. He's just a monkey who can recite lines. Sure. Yeah, do not talk to the police. Seriously, do not talk to the cops. Don't. Don't. Do not talk to the police. El no taco la policia. Actually, saying no hable la policia. I don't know. Close enough. But I want to think people feel something for those they harm. I mean, at the end of the day, he probably does, but he's got so much of a, ego and his own narcissism that's you'd have to drill deep. You'd have to break him to get to that point. Oh, certainly, it was part of the shock. Definitely is part of the shock of that. And the police will take advantage of your psychological state as long as it's not clearly debilitative to get something out of you. And in this case, they're trying to investigate and see what happened because somebody got shot, and usually that's a crime, and they're trying to figure out who did it and is it illegal. So they took advantage of that. Yeah, you could say it like that. Stop talking after lawyer. Yes, I want my lawyer. That's it. I want my lawyer dog work too. It should, unless you're dealing with a bunch of racist judges in Louisiana who think you're asking for a dog who happens to be a lawyer and not lawyer, comma, dog, and dog being an affectionate term for people. Yeah, I've actually got There is a case. I actually am probably gonna. It actually almost might look like an uncivil law review of a case out of New York where this just kind of happened and the courts ruled on it. Attorney Bud. Jeez. Oh. No hablo puerco. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. No habla policia. I don't speak police. You know what? I think they would understand, and you guys have kind of understood, so it got the point across. Hold on one second. I heard somebody laughing at me. I'm not sure. That's the Splenda. Okay. Uh, yeah, I've heard him say that. Yes, stop self snitching. I wish I had that as a slogan because that is a really good one. I like that. Yes, don't snitch on yourself, and that's what people do. You're more likely to tell on yourself than you think. Yes, yeah. I wish to remain silent. You keep saying it. That's you know, if you have to say it 500 times, fine. Especially if you get documented where you say that. I like no habla blah blah blah. Well, you got to be careful. After a while, um, you still prefer fuck you, lawyer. Okay. Yes, the more you talk, the more you're going to tell on yourself. And when you keep talking, there's nothing I can do. Sure, I can try to suppress it and say they intimidated you, the interrogation was too long, they didn't properly Mirandize you, maybe you asked for a lawyer, maybe you didn't. But really, if you talk, you give away the store, and really, that makes the case that much harder. Most of the time when you're screwed, it's because you talked. They usually don't have the evidence on you. They have some circumstantial evidence. Yeah, maybe some things point to you, or maybe some stuff's inconclusive, or yeah, maybe there's a sketchy description that kind of looks like you. But it's because you talk. That's why you go to prison. That's why you go to jail. That's why you get convicted. It's because you talked. If you didn't talk, probably getting away with it because they got nothing. When I said that last week about the Whitmer thing, actually 2 weeks ago about the Whitmer thing, nobody talks, everybody walks. Okay, well, if that everybody is just you, if you don't talk, you got a chance of, getting a walk. Okay? If you don't talk, you can walk. If you tell them what's up, there's only so much I can do. Yeah, that's the first 48 is a great example of the police talking to idiots. You talk to the guy, and yeah, within minutes they talk, and then, oh, I want to take a nap and lay on the floor and they sleep. Yeah, just shut up. Get a lawyer. And you notice what happens when the guys get attorneys and the clock stops and they're like, oh, he's standing trial and awaiting. Usually they don't have, and if you Google what happens to those dudes, charges dismissed. They don't have a case. That dude walked. Why? Because there is no evidence they can use against him. It's all circumstantial and it's all crap they can't use. So yes, the first 48 is great in that regard. When the dude, and sometimes the dudes even talk and still get acquitted. But generally speaking, when you see that guy not talking and they say, oh, he's been charged. Yeah, and then nothing happened to him. Why? Because he shut his mouth. So remember, shut your mouth. Sorry, just had to get that out of my system. You're proposed bilingual. Yeah. The more you talk, the more Amica cream you're going to need. Yeah. Well, there's times where the police don't respect your rights, but there's also times where they haven't specific. You might say, well, I think I need a lawyer. No, you can't say that. You have to say, I want my lawyer. I want an attorney. Usually it's when people ask equivocal questions. Should I have a lawyer? Do I need a lawyer? I argue those are, if you're inquiring about your rights, that should be enough. But the Supreme Court doesn't believe that. No courts believe that. Usually that's the case. Generally speaking, if you tell people you want an attorney, the cops do stop. But that doesn't mean they won't or break the law to do that. Uh, well, I don't think it was the cream. I thought it was her, the little makeup pad that she had. Hey, and that's, uh, it's kind of like that all over the place. Cops get away with all kinds of stuff depending on where you're at. Exactly. Yeah, that's what happens. All charges against the dude are dropped. See, Goody, you asked for a lawyer and they only after you said a second time. Hey, I'm sorry they did that to you, but at least you asserted your rights and they stopped. Um, yeah, other people might. And then if you do ask for it and it's clear and concise and it's unequivocal, hopefully it's recorded. That way I can jump in and say he asked for it and they kept badgering him. But, it all depends. Oh, there's a super chat. The end is near, beware. Sorry, not no really laws you'd heard about you and Ricada about guns. That's my life. What do you think about the numeric chart for braces? I don't want to SBR live on state lines. Don't ask permission every year. Um, I mean, the whole thing with the ATF and their SBR and the number chart they have and the point system, it's all a bunch of crap. They shouldn't be able to do that. But, they'll burn your house down and kill your dog. Um, that said, though, if you live on a state line and you want to go across every year, you can get your 5320.20 set up so you can say, like, the time frame you're going to travel is, like, from year to year. Like, it can be, like, almost, I think it's, you can't do more than 12 months, but I think you can have it set for a really, really long time. Something to think about. Also, if you have an SBR, you can just swap out the upper. Like if you have an AR-15, I think that's probably what you have. Throw a normal length upper on there, and then you could travel across state lines. It's a normal rifle now. Just something to think about. But yes, it's all crap. Um, so, I mean, it's not really that new, but it's been around for a while. But yeah, I hate it. I hate everything they do. The ATF, the EPA helps the environment. The Department of Education kind of helps with education, not really. The Department of Defense, I mean, they try, but they don't really do a good job of fighting the wars. The Department of Treasury really does a good job at inflating the money supply. The ATF does not help alcohol, tobacco, or firearms. They're a boon on all three industries. So, I mean, remember, at the end of the day, the ATF were the original revenuers. So, just keep that in mind. Well, hey, I know it's crazy to see how far I've come. Um, do I need a lawyer? If you're asking that, you probably do. So maybe right now. If you're in Ohio, give me a call or send me an email. um, but anyways, the end is near. I hope that answers your question. I really do. $5. I'm gonna attach two suppressors to pistols to make it legal. Well, hey, for the SBR, that numeric points chart they have, that's the rules now. That went through. I mean that came out a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure that came out and was published as law now, or as rule. If it isn't, then I'm maybe messed up there, but I'm pretty sure it's rule now. Um, but yeah, you can permanently attach a suppressor to an SBR, and that gives you rifle length. That is a good idea, but remember, buy a durable suppressor because otherwise you'll chew yours up. Make sure you get a really good one. So I'd really suggest you do your research on that. Um, what is taking so long? I think it took so long to get a consensus one way or another. I know a lot of people are having this hope that, oh my gosh, the fact it's gone on this long and Thomas really hasn't written anything and they try to dole out the opinions to everybody, means like Thomas or Barrett's going to come in off the top rope with like a flaming folding chair and just like drop a bomb on everybody. I hope to God that happens, but I think it's going to get watered down, kind of like Heller did or McDonald did. We'll see it, but it's probably not till after the summer. But it's coming, and New York will probably get told what's up, but it's not going to be the victory we think, but it's also not going to be the loss that people on the other side think it's going to be. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and it's like a nuclear bomb getting dropped in the middle of a sea full of bunny rabbits, and it just woof. I mean, I hope for them it's carnage, but I don't think it's going to be. I'd love to be able to walk through Times Square with an AR-15 on my back. I mean, kind of cool, but I don't think that's going to happen. Arnica has been around for centuries. Did not know that. Well, the cops can give you legal advice, but they can't lie about it. They can't give you incorrect advice. So, I mean, I've had things suppressed before where a cop told a person once, oh, you're a felon, you got caught with a gun, that's an automatic 5 years in federal prison. That's not the case, and that got the person to start confessing to things. So, you know, misstatements of the law are not cool, and if they're wrong, that can be helpful to you. Yes, it's generally they're going to try to help you in a way that helps them. I used to like the ATF and the people I knew there. Well, I guess that makes one of us. Yeah, RN Nurse, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, they can legally lie in interrogations. Yep, just they can't lie about the law. They've been a people a lot out of shape. I mean, go back to Randy Weaver and Ruby Ridge or Waco. You know, they did all that over some unpaid taxes. I watched a Harvard lawyer lecture that. Geez, that sucks when I'm trying to catch up. I'm not sure which thing, but okay. Hopefully it sounded good and smart, if that's me you're talking about. There are some limits, but even then, they can, with what they're allowed to use and their cunning and deceit, they can cause all kinds of problems. Yeah, nothing you can say the cop's going to help you. The idea you're going to talk your way out of it sitting in an interrogation room, no, it doesn't work like that. What happens on Law & Order where somebody clears their name? No. If it's going to help you, wait till your attorney shows up, tell them what's going on. Your attorney will tell the cops, and then, you know what, if it works, great, then you leave. But you're not going to talk yourself out of it. Just like if they're going to arrest you on the side of the road, you're not talking yourself out of it. Yes, they do suck both bigly, but at least they're trying to do, at least in theory, what they're doing. Actually, Lemon Party, a lot of that's regulated by the Supreme Court, what they can lie about. Generally speaking, they're not allowed to lie about legal things, so they can't lie about the law. They can't try to threaten you with arrest of other people. That's generally a no-no. But they can lie to you and say like, hey, your buddy already flipped on you. Or a big one they'll do is like, we have DNA evidence. And they'll wave a paper in front of your face. Or they'll take like a hair and put it in a bag and say, look, we found a hair. Or yeah, there's a witness that saw you doing it. Or they'll show you fake evidence. They can do all kinds of things. Or, I don't know if you guys have seen The Wire, but at the beginning where they put the colander on top of the guy's head and have him sit next to the copy machine, and they already have, like, he's lying inside of it, and it keeps on spitting out, he's lying, he's lying. That actually happened. The police really did that to a guy. I forget for what type of crime, but he really did confess. That's another one that I've been putting together for a while. That's a big one. I mean, I'm probably going to have to put in, like, chapter headings on that one. They will lie. They will manipulate you. They will take advantage of your stupidity or gullibility if they can. Well, I'd argue if you're talking about the ATF, we do get very involved and they still do what they want. I mean, they had 290,000 comments over this recent round of rules that they released regarding 80%, firearms. And what did they do? They said, "Cool, don't care, we're still doing it." So, no, they kind of do what they want. Godzilla won. That's flattering, but I would feel much more happy if you just liked what I do and didn't have to meet you in a courtroom. But that would be fun. Um, well, good job. Good job. Helping protect somebody, watching them out yet. You're right, the braces are not regulated yet, but that's. There was a firearm industry conference convention that happened this week, and I read some tweets about it from somebody who was there. That's coming in like the next 3 to 6 months, possibly. And they probably will keep that chart, so it's going to be bad. But thanks for catching me, A-Dubs. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many freaking things nowadays, it's hard to keep it all straight. It could, but it might not be. It all depends. Um, well, of course they're desperate. If they're trying to trick you and screw with you, it's because they got nothing. If they're talking to you, generally speaking, they're either waiting for you to confess or they really don't have anything. If they had everything they need on you, they just arrest you and call it a day. And sometimes they do that. And sometimes I've had guys who are like, "Oh, they didn't even read me my Miranda rights." And I said, "It doesn't matter. You left your DNA, they tested it, it tested positive. There's footage of you there, and people identified you there. And they found the weapon in your home. They don't need to talk to you." So it all depends. I'm not sure. Well, I would talk with if you ever had to do that and permanently pin a suppressor onto your weapons, consult with your manufacturer because they'll tell you whether or not you could do that. And I know some of the OSS ones come apart so that you may run afoul of the ATF still. But I would talk to the people you bought them from and see what they would suggest. But you don't have to yet. Here's stamp collect. Oh yeah, it looks like you got a scorpion and I can't see what the little YouTube logo covers up, but I like your scorpion. Um, Thought about getting one myself at some point or an MP5 clone. Yes, it's very ironic that the vocal members of the Second Amendment community buy stamps from the government, tax stamps, considering the Stamp Act of 1765 was one of the underlying causes of the revolution and government stamps on various things. Yes, it's ironic, isn't it? It's like Atlantis. Isn't it ironic? It's actually kind of sad, but here we are. Yes, tell your kids not to talk to the police. Oh my God, if you really are reading that, save yourself. Please stop now. Stop now. Stop now. If you're in law school, what are you doing to yourself? Um, Hello, hi, how are you doing? Let's see what else here. Do kind of miss the range, so do I. Wire's the greatest show ever. Hold on here. Many cops I've had experience with. Yeah, but you should just generally presume if they're coming to talk to you, it's generally not for something good. Um, Even then, it doesn't matter. I mean, if they think you did it, that's going to be enough for them. If they think you did it, you're not probably going to talk them out of it. Yes. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's another one we need to cover real quick. Um, yes, the guys in the gym. So they were caught, all three of them. There were three of them there. And two of them are brothers, it looks like, or cousins. I'm not really too sure. Yes, so, let me see if I can bring it up here. Where is it? Isn't it ironic? No, I'm singing it. Let me see here. right. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, I got all three of them, I think. So, what happened to the brilliant Rhodes Scholars who beat the living crap out of the security guard at a gym? Well, they're having a day. Let's see if I bring this up. So the first guy, Cameron Walton, as you can see right, yeah, there's Cameron Walton. Yes, what did he get charged with? Well, I think he got charged with murder. And his bond was set at $1 million initially. Now, why is his $1 million? Well, you look at the rest of them. The other two guys got $500,000 bonds initially. I think he was the dude soccer kicking this guy in the head on the ground. But also notice 1995 birth date. I mean, it's young guy. So yeah, he got a $1 million bond. Guy number two, Xavier Williams, got a $500,000 bond. Yeah, it's looking so good. Now this was way back, and there's an update to that too. Darius Williams, you know what he got? He got a $500,000 bond too. They all got charged with murder. Now, let me see here. I think I've got a couple of their bonds got I think all their bonds got modified, roughly. But their bonds got reset to about $20,000 a piece, and I'm still trying to pull all that together. But yeah, things got lowered for him. I'm going to do a little more digging into that. They got released fairly recently on bond. They all posted bond. Looks like it got lowered down to at least, $20,000, which I don't know if it's at 20 or 200,000. It was hard to read the paperwork that I have. But their bonds got lowered. A bunch of them they all got released. They're all on electronic monitoring. They're all still facing murder. So, yeah, I hope they thought that basketball game was worth it. But I'm still working on that one. But somebody had asked about it already. A couple people had asked this week, and I thought I'd just bring it up. I would have voted not guilty. It sounds like those people deserved it. I mean, but then again, I also subscribe to the theory, like, don't fuck with people. You piss people off and things will happen. Should he have shot this lady? No. But do I feel bad she got shot? Not particularly. She sounds like a horrible person herself. And, hopefully she goes through life understanding, I hope that gave her a bit of a tempering on how she acts with people. Like, treat people like crap and they might shoot you. Yes, I think General Flynn's a great example of that. Regardless of what you think he did or did not do, they basically tried to tell him, you don't need to talk to an attorney. Then they went back and, because they're the FBI, they don't record their conversations with people. They write out reports on it. Now what are you facing? Well, now you're facing what somebody wrote down, and that FBI agent is viewed as a stellar person who never lies, even though that report he had was edited multiple times. Yeah. No, you can't ever trust it. Yeah, I think if you're on the fence, it's not guilty. Um, yes, I have. I remember watching that back in the day. Yeah, it was a pretty good series. The book is really good. I encourage you guys to read the book if you've watched that and you liked it. The book was really well put together. I'll just take a break. It's okay. It's been a long day for everybody. Well, there you go, man. You got some fans. Used to do that job. Not sure which job you're talking about. Hopefully, wasn't saying a bad thing about it. Um, it does, but you also have to remember if your bond's set prohibitively high and you can't make it, that's an issue. That's as far as what you're entitled to. How is it that Wisconsin doesn't have bail bondsmen? Because there's states, they don't think that's fair. They don't think it's right to have that. That you can pay somebody money like that and get you out of jail when your bond was set. Some places, the cash system is entirely different. Like Ontario, for example, with having all the people who went up to the Capitol in Ottawa. Your surety is not a bondsman, but your surety is somebody else who puts money up. I'm going to be talking with Runkle the Bailey about some Canadian things, and he was going to explain it a little more. But it's that state's decision that you just have cash bail, and you have to put it up. There's issues about usury. Some people don't like the bail bond industry. They don't want bounty hunting and bail hunting going on in their state, because that's an issue too. Because the regulations and licensing to be a bail agent are not, compared to be a police officer, are not the highest. And every once in a while you hear about bail agents arresting the wrong person, harassing people. Sometimes they've they've killed somebody and it's a random person defending themselves against a bunch of dudes with guns. So there's all kinds of issues and people in that state, they're allowed to set their laws their way. It's, that's not too different. Yes, Marcus Wilson, his case got continued. I'm not sure to when. Also, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find it online because I've not found anywhere that's going to air it. But we'll see. I can't believe you never watched that. It's been around forever. I mean, that came out when I was in high school. And I read the book pretty sure, God, when did I read the book? I read the book before that. And that came out like my sophomore year of high school, I think. So I read the book, I think, in junior high. It was really interesting. Sometime coming up. Yeah, in a lot of ways they are predatory, but also if you don't have the cash, they fulfill a very valuable purpose, I think. There are probably countless stories of that from Texas. Yeah, you only have to pay 10% off to get it depends. Now, a court in Ohio, you can pay 10% as well, but there are times where the court or the state will argue for no 10%. So if your bond's $100,000, you can't just get $10,000 scrounged up and pay the courthouse, pay the clerk. If there's no 10% allowed, you have to foot the whole amount or get a bondsman. So, bondsmen do serve a purpose at times. It's a necessary evil if you're going to have a cash system at all. Marcus Wilson got continued to 627. Yeah, I hadn't really bothered to look, but yeah, that sounds about right. Sorry, had a technical difficulty there. You sound vaguely like me talking about the Star Wars books and Disney ruining it. Oh, Disney did ruin that. Ruin the extended universe and saying, none of that matters now. The Yuuzhan Vong War and all that. There's some cool stuff in Star Wars that they just completely destroyed. Like having Rey and, warmed over Darth Maul fighting over stuff. That was horrible. They could have done the Vong War where like the rebellion and the Empire team up and they fight and it like wipes out half the universe. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it can. It further incentivizes it, but it sucks in that regard. And I know there's people that push for trying to do cashless bail, but I think the problem is, I think you see this in New York. There's times they've done it, but it's backfired a lot. I think there should be less. I think there should be more options for like electronic monitoring, house arrest, things like that, or more pretrial services and people having to check in. I think that's a different way you can do it, but a lot of those things cost money and people don't want to spend money on that. So it's a limitation, I think, at some point too of what people are willing to pay for. But people are willing to pay for prisons instead of that, which kind of makes your noggin jogging a little bit. Sorry, I'm just dying here. My allergies. Um, there's Star Wars books. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff. A lot of them, a ton of them. Yeah. So, but yes, there are a ton of books, Dickie. But Star Wars said they are not canon anymore, and they are completely gone. So you can read them, but they no longer apply, which I think is a travesty. Um, oh, the romance murder writer in Oregon. I hadn't followed that one. I was gonna start, and then I kind of didn't. I had other stuff I was working on and taking care of things, so I don't know. Shout, let me. Uh, hmm. They took the legacy of everything, like Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, all the video games. Like Knights of the Old Republic had its own great story you could have done something with, and the lore in that was phenomenal. Uh, Sorry, I know a lot of people think, "Oh my God, he's such a nerd." Okay, well, whatever, deal with it. They ruined that too. Um, I haven't watched it. The Book of Boba Fett just sounds awful. Did not sound impressive to me at all. I have not touched it with a 10-foot pole. I'm not gonna lie, I'll tell you a secret. I haven't watched The Mandalorian either. I thought that was gonna be a big steaming pile of garbage, and I mean that's a little bit of the contrarian in me. I still haven't watched it yet, but um, yeah, no, most of the stuff I'm not gonna watch. Um, but yeah, never watched The Mandalorian either. That's scandalous, I think. We'll see. Yeah, I'm thinking so. Probably, most likely. Lego Star Wars is pretty cool. I think it's kind of neat. I also liked Legos as a kid. Um, Compared to what we saw, it was probably a better idea that we went with what George Lucas was going to do in reality. In looking back on time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't watch it. All Disney Star Wars garbage. Yeah, I'm at that point too now. Well, actually, technically, isn't Rogue One Disney? Because that was actually pretty cool. Parts of it, at least, were. Um, well, I thought A Man in the High Castle was really good. I really liked that series. So I hate the way it ended, but it was really good till probably the last couple episodes. I thought that was really neat. I still haven't watched. Oh, I guess there's another scandalous thing. I still haven't watched The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't think I'm ever going to. Yeah, it was. It's very much like with The Sopranos and that movie they did now. They're like, "Oh, look, it's the thing! Yay! I remember that." It's called fan service. You pick the old stuff. They're like, "Oh, look, it's Yoda." Like, who cares? Yeah, I know, I know. We're such hipsters. um, okay, you could say what you want, but compared to the last three, the prequels were phenomenal compared to the hot garbage that came out. Especially Attack of the Clones. You know, that was actually really good. I thought that was a very good movie, especially with with Christopher Lee in it. I thought he did a great job, and all the. I thought that was actually probably one of the better movies. Never watched Lost. Seemed really really stupid to me. Like jumping back and forth through time, and that big smoke monsters eating people. Like I watched the first 5 minutes, and that's all I know. Yeah, I don't not watch Lost. Presented without comment. Um, really? You think the Phantom Menace was better? I mean, I guess. I guess we'll agree to disagree. Watch all the credibility you gained for watching Band of Brothers. Well, not the first time I talked myself into a hole, so that's okay. Hello. Hope you're staying nice and warm tonight on this cold evening. I mean, that part I didn't like where Yoda's jumping around everywhere. But the rest of it was pretty cool, especially like when the clone troopers were like, putting in work and blowing shit up. That was kind of neat. And, all the fighting. Oh, God, that was so cringy. I can't believe people like that. I mean, that was ISIS recruiting a child to fight for them. I said that before. Space ISIS. That they took him to the madrasa and then he became, one of their violent enforcers. I think I told that to Ricada, and I don't know if he agreed with that, but space ISIS, you can't support that nonsense. Can't support it at all. When I think of the Dune movie, I've not seen the new one yet. There's a bunch of movies I need to catch up on, but if it's come out in the last year, wait, what have I seen this year? Haven't. I've been pretty busy catching up on shows and stuff. Um, it looks real good. The people I trust and respect in my life have told me it's really good, so I'll watch it. I just haven't had the time to look for it. But even then, I like some of the old Dunes. I think some of those are pretty cool too. Well, they kidnap children. They have their own, the Jedi kidnap children. They have this religion they violently protect and will enforce at sword point. They operate outside democratic institutions. They operated as the secret police of the Republic. I mean, yeah, nobody likes the Stasi, even if they're a religious space Stasi who believe in magic. Um, you probably doesn't. You probably don't want to watch it if you saw the first one. I don't know. I'm willing to give him some leeway. I mean, I just like Kyle McLaughlin. I think he did a good job. Um, hey, they are space ISIS. If you rip a copium, I get that joke. Um, yeah, Yoda was kind of, I don't know. Look, he talked like this. It's like, okay, great. Without Yoda, you wouldn't have people like Elizabeth Holmes putting, that stupid comment about trying on her wall of Theranos. So Yoda helped Elizabeth Holmes scam people. Yeah, thank you, Dickie. I'll still watch it. I'll have to work that in between the Formula One races and all the shows I'm catching up on. Yeah, they operated as a independent police force, and I'm an attorney. I don't like extra governmental agencies. I haven't watched Picard. Never watched any of the new Star Trek either. Never watched any of the garbage on CBS either. Yeah, well, I was a kid when the Next Generation came out, and then I remember as a kid, as I got older, learning that Patrick Stewart at some point did Shakespeare and was an accomplished, thespian. I'm like, oh my god, Captain Picard does theater. And then you learn actually no, it's the other way around. Um, kind of like the first time you see Ian McKellen as a kid, you're like, wow, Magneto did theater back in the day. And you're like, wait, Ian McKellen's probably one of the greatest, Shakespearean actors ever. And actually, if you want to see some cool stuff on YouTube, they have things where he kind of did like one man shows that were on TV on the BBC back in the 70s. They're pretty cool to listen to. And him just talking about acting and what it means to him and the philosophy of acting. It's really cool. Especially younger Ian McKellen. Uh, That said, though, he looks exactly like he does now, except with, not gray hair. There's nothing wrong with the old Star Trek. It's the new stuff not good. That said, though, I think any of the stuff in Star Wars is cooler, but nothing wrong with Star Trek. No, I don't have to remember that. That just sounds dumb. So, well, guys, it's 11:30. We're almost doing 2 hours here, and kind of went down a different road after a while, which I'm fine with. Um, but I got some stuff I got to do, and kind of get ready for tomorrow. Relax a little bit as well. Oh, hold on here. Oh no, not a text. So, um, that's really it for me, guys. Yeah, this week, you know what? That kind of worked out. This was kind of a slow week. I mean, really, Johnny and Amber's probably going to dominate things for the next couple of weeks anyway. Uh, in reality, but we'll try to go along and see what's out there to watch. If there's stuff out there, we'll cover it. But yeah, that's really it. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch Halo either. I don't want them to ruin it for me. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for the super chats. Uh, yeah, appreciate it, guys. And if you're new, it's your first time, we'll be back on next Thursday. So have a nice night. And just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.